Yo, JD here, Limitless. And as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 as always. And in today's video, we are here with some league racing action in the ORL Racing League, which I have been doing on Sundays at 3 PM UK time. But that was for the CIS division, which is a completely different championship. But obviously due to some of the difficulties that is going on in the world right now, and many of the nationalities involved, many of them don't really feel up to racing, which I can fully understand. So that has been postponed temporarily.
Okay.
And there was a space available for the F1 Esports division, which runs every Sunday at 7 PM. And you can see the drivers we have in here: Danny Brezza, Sven Zerner, Danielle Haddad, actual F1 Esports drivers. The grid is absolutely stacked. And you've got people like Patrick Cruz as well. Andre is in here. So it's going to be a very, very tough time in trying to win a race in this. But having been involved in a couple of these races in the past, going against a higher level of caliber of drivers, which you could argue to be in this case, is something that really, really excites me, and usually makes me perform at a much higher level. But you can see here, qualifying one, who managed to get through in P9 of 26.8, but a 26.4 by Danny Brezza, who is a McLaren Shadow esports driver. Danielle Haddad was an Aston Martin esports, but has left after the end of last season. Hopefully he'll be back in the team for the next one. And Sven Zerner in here, who came P3 in the very first F1 Esports Championship ever in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, it's absolutely stacked. And of course, Patrick Cruz was a Mercedes esports driver a couple of seasons ago as well. So you can see here there now. Gone out in Q2 on the mediums and done a 27.8, which I was fairly happy with. And then we decided to leave it quite late to go out on a set of soft tyres. I was hoping to go through with just the one set, and coming off this last corner, it wasn't a terrible lap by any means or stretch. It says 26.8, which puts me currently in P7. But with this level of drivers in here, a 26.8 is probably not going to be enough. So coming back into the pits, we really kind of timed this quite poorly, because as we're going into our pit box now, you're about to see my T-bait is coming out. I'm not even looking at the screen at this point, not even realising what's just happened. And that's pretty much left us no time. But I should have gone out much, much earlier. So just a bit of poor management on my side. And as a result of that, not being able to set another lap, we come home in P13. So we don't make it through to Q3. And you can see the pace of these drivers is just insane. And now we're about to see the pole lap from Danielle Haddad, who very kindly lent me his footage. So please check him out in the description down below. So this is what a lap from an F1 Esports driver looks like. So not really too different for these sequence of corners. But it was the first sector that I was losing most of my time. And I think that's mainly down to my setup was a lot more of a straight line speed oriented setup, which is going to be better for the race. And you can just see here, the level of commitment you need is just staggering. And F1 Esports, I've done this many, many times before. I think a lot of people do have the pace for F1 Esports, but to be able to do these times consistently and execute it when it matters, that's what separates those drivers from just a normal, very good driver. And every esports driver is pretty much a specialist in qualifying, because it usually is probably the most important part. Grid positioning, since overtaking is very, very hard. No one makes mistakes. It's just impossible once you get stuck in that DRS train. You can see this lap here is A pretty good lap so far. My PB I've ever done is a 26.3, which I did a while ago, so he's already beaten that. Coming through into this last corner, what's it going to be? It's going to be a pretty good exit, and he's a 10th up on a 26.2, and going across the line.
You've just put in the fastest lap. Good job.
A little sigh of relief there, but a 26-1 from the two eSport drivers in this division, Danielle Haddad and Brezza. But I'd start at P13, but that does mean I get to start on the medium tyres. And my race pace, I was practicing with Haddad before this, was just as strong, if not a slightly stronger in the race. So I was very confident in race speed. So let's see what we can do here. So we've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights here. And we're going to try and get a good start. And the start isn't good. It's actually quite poor here. So coming into this turn 1, we kind of get boxed into a part of the track which we can't really do anything about. I couldn't go straight ahead because I had the Mercedes, which has allowed this guy called Villa Cameo to overtake, and now we've been overtaken by the Haas as well. So this is a pretty poor start, and I just had nowhere to go. I couldn't run into the guy in front of me, and we've actually lost 2 positions. So not an ideal start so far, but you will see this video. It's quite a long one, and I encourage you to stay throughout the whole video because it's probably one of the best races that I've actually taken part in, and I feel really showcases what my true race pace speed can be, directly comparing it to some F1 eSport drivers, which I've always said my race pace has been strong. Qualifying has always been a weakness of mine, but I always felt like my race pace on its day could put up a pretty good fight with most people who play this game. And we've got Dominico, a official Ferrari eSports driver himself. I think he's been disconnected from the session, so that's unfortunate for him. But as we skip on to lap 2 of this race, see a couple of people had a few incidents on the first lap. One with that disconnection, someone else got damaged, so we've gone back up into P13 now, and we're just going to be following this train. And what is going on here? Looks like Patrick Cruge is having a bit of an issue, so dropping like flies at the moment here. But as you come through into the end of lap 2, we're starting to pick up the pace a little bit, so I saw this as an opportunity to go round the outside of this Mercedes driver. And is he going to fight this too hard? And the answer is no. So now we have started to make a small amount of progress, and as I said before coming into this race, I always focus on the race pace, but particularly around here, I wanted a car that was going to be very quick in a straight line, because I felt confident that I could keep up the momentum going through into the corners, and so far it's doing its job. So just got to make sure we're sticking with these people, as it looks like someone else has got off into the wall there, so I'm not quite sure who that was, but we managed to get in the DRS zone of the car up ahead of Pablo. So skipping towards lap 4 now, up into P10, so up into a points paying position. And coming off the exit here, looks like his teammate has had a bit of an issue, so he's going to get the overtake down here, as someone else has actually gone into the pits. Norbert has gone into the pits, and that's very, very early to be going to the pits. So now we've been promoted into P9, coming through into here behind TS, another guy in the Haas. Saw this as the opportunity to use our straight line speed, and you can see how fast we are in a straight line, and he is on the soft tyres. So soft tyres are usually good for 10 or so laps, but I think he was already starting to struggle in these tyres, and that has been confirmed because he decided to box on the end of lap 5, which again I think is incredibly early to be boxing. So now we're behind his teammate Pablo once again, and you're about to see our straight line speed was absolutely rapid here, and I wasn't afraid to use the ERS because since I was running these wings, it was quite easy for me to recoup that battery again. So I'm being quite aggressive and attacking here, and you can see I don't think he's even really going to put up too much of a fight, and now we're up into P7. So actually making great progress in this race. And as I always say, I always feel I just drive better and better as the race goes on, and that certainly is what's happening here. So now we're behind this guy called Villa, who makes a bit of a mistake, and that has actually caused us to try and anticipate if he's going to come back on the track or not. But now that's actually put us in a little bit of a difficult position, because now we don't have the DRS from the car up ahead, which is Andre, because the gap is too big. And now this is actually a really, really crucial period of this race. We need to make sure we get back within the DRS zone of Andre ahead of us. Otherwise, it's going to be quite hard to catch up, since he has actually got the DRS from the cars up ahead of him. So now we're going to try and show how much pace we actually have once again. You can see we're doing our personal best so far into this middle sector, leaving absolutely nothing on the table here. And the gap is under 1 second, but he has DRS from the car up ahead, and the detection point is actually on the exit of this final corner. So we're not going to be close enough on this occasion. But the soft runners up ahead of him, I felt like they were starting to lose a little bit of their pace. So if we can stay close in this first sector, I felt confident that we could get back within it. So ERS is now back down to about 30-ish % as Villacampa has retired from this race. But it's for this first sector where we really need to show how much speed we actually have. And so far, so good. But are we going to be close enough? Again, the detection point is here, and we are not close enough. So we're just about a tenth away again. So really trying to use the ERS now, because it's crucial. We can't really afford to do another lap using its ERS, otherwise we will be down to single digits. So trying to get a really good exit for this corner. We are currently within that crucial second of what we need, but taking this super nicely, getting a great exit off here. And the detection point is on the exit of these fast sequence of corners coming up. I think this is the corner that Charles Leclerc actually crashed during the practice. So the detection point is here, and we're going to be comfortably close enough, actually breaking out of the DRS from the car behind as well. And that is exactly what we needed to do. So far, other than the start, we're driving a pretty perfect race. And you can see we've already managed to save quite a bit of the ERS again. So up into P6, and the leaders are not even that far away. So they were actually battling quite a lot during this race. It looks like a couple of people have got into the pits, and looks like Brezza and Haddad have decided to stay out as well. And the gap is only 4.3 seconds. Coming towards the end of this lap, the gap is gone up ever so slightly, but the softs are still going to be good at this stage. But I think this is the lap where they are going to be pitting, and you're about to hear a little bit of radio from myself now.
That 5 seconds. Brezza 5 seconds.
So yeah, they have a 5-second penalty
They've got
each.
5 seconds. You're not allowed to cut any part of the pit lane when you go into the pits, by the way. 5 seconds for the leaders.
And at the time, I thought that was because they were just cutting the pit lane. Because in this league, you're not allowed to cut the line at all, even if it's just one wheel off the white line. You'll actually get a penalty. So I presume that was the reason. Maybe it was very, very strict on the pit entry. So I was a bit mindful of that. But now we decide to overtake Andre and go into the lead of this race, because I felt that my pace was really, really good at this stage. And you can see we're doing a double personal best, managing to save quite a lot of ERS when I was behind him. So we do have that luxury with the wings I was running. Since it's so fast in a straight line, the engine doesn't have to work quite as hard to push itself through the air. And that means we can actually be very, very efficient with our battery usage. So right here, I'm just trying to play smart with Andre, trying to drag each other along without actually costing each other time. That was the goal here. So of the exit of this corner, I could have DRS'd him back, but since he's just overtaken me and he's probably been able to save a bit of ERS I'm going to try and be smart here and turn off my DRS just so I can stay behind him. Not force him to defend or anything like that. But now we're coming towards the end of that 14. And looks like he's been pushing this lap, which I felt was a good indication that he's probably going to try and box. See, Danny Brezza is 10.1 seconds behind, but he does have that 5-second penalty. So I predicted that Andre was going to pit. Since he was pushing very hard this lap, we would have been able to save quite a lot of the ERS ourselves. Pablo has gone in as well, and we are going to continue for another lap because I wanted the fresher tyres in this race, because I felt even if Andre could catch up to the leaders at the end of the race, he would be encountering some traffic, and I wanted that extra set of fresh tyres as well. So we've gone for another lap, and you can see we've actually increased the gap to Brezza. So our pace, our race pace, it has just been super, super strong so far. So we're driving with an elite amount of confidence right now. So now we're going to go into the pits, making sure we don't touch or cross the white line, which we do that fine there. But
what the fuck? What the fuck? Why have I got a penalty?
On PC, there seems to be a glitch where even if you're not cutting the lines and you're not even speeding in the pits, it seems to give you a 5-second penalty unless you're going very, very slowly. So our car has actually reset it as well, which I think has cost us at least a couple of seconds there, maybe a second or 2 seconds, and it's given us a 5-second penalty. So it looks like everyone, quite a lot of other people have fallen victim to that as well, unless they just have been driving very, very slowly. So
What the fuck, man?
that has really not helped our race, and we've actually come out in P11. So we have a lot of work to do if you want to get ourselves back into this race. And now we're going to be showing you quite a lot of raw footage, because I think this stint that I did here was probably one of the best demonstrations of me driving at my best in a race in terms of the pace that I was doing. So yeah, sit back and enjoy. Hopefully you do, as we take our first car off the Haas, who is on the medium. So he decided not to fight that too hard, so that is one person down. Now we're behind Norbert, who has been on these tyres for well over 10 laps. I think he pitted at the end of lap 4 or something like that. So as we almost crash into the wall, as we're looking at the stream chat at this time, and I can see his red light was flashing. So coming off the exit of this corner, I don't think we're even going to be using any of the air, so we do use a tiny bit just to get a little boost, and we get that move done. He didn't have the DRS, and his battery is very, very low as well. So now we've got to try and get within the DRS zone of Estevan. Sorry, I'm really, really bad at pronouncing people's names, but got to try and make sure we get him in the DRS zone of him, which we should be able to do because he is on these medium tyres. So the detection point is coming up here, and have we done it? No, we actually haven't done it. So that is a little Achilles heel, sometimes needing to be a little bit more on it, and just that extra boost of DRS run there could have really, really helped us. But going through this corner, we have got back within the DRS zone, but we are still on 80 plus of the battery, so we're in a very, very strong position battery rise this race, and we're not going to use any of it down here because we should be able to comfortably get within the detection point. And the next person after that is actually Pablo, who pitted a lap before us, and you can see because he didn't get reset in the pits, I think we would have been much, much closer if the game decided not to give us that little glitch this week. Just too busy stream watching at this point of the race. So we're going to overtake this guy, and we're actually going to be using a little bit of the battery just to try and bring ourselves as close as possible to Pablo to get back with his DRS. So we do the fastest lap of the race here, and the gap is 2.1 seconds. So let's see how much we can close in. Next lap, or I think the end of this lap, we are onto the back of Ben Sabo, who is also a Ferrari Esports reserve driver, if I'm not mistaken. So he's very, very fast, but he is on these medium tyres, so I don't think he's going to make our life too difficult here. And you can see with the gap, we are closing in very, very quickly, and we have done another fastest lap of a 28.4. So our pace is absolutely rapid at this stage of the race. So the gap is 1.4 seconds up ahead, and this is actually the fight for the lead. All these people here are fighting for the lead, and we were actually quite a long way behind. So pushing this hard on these tyres, we have done absolutely everything. So let's see if we can get back within the DRS zone. And I think the answer is yes, we can get within a detection point, and we're still with 5 laps of this race to go. We're sitting in a very, very nice position because I was very confident that my penalties would get removed. As you can see, Andre has actually overtaken Sven Zona as well in the McLaren, so it's starting to get a little bit feisty at the front of this race. So sitting in P6 in this race, you can see we have 50% plus of this ES, and I think we are
the race for the leads.
Going to stay on board.
I think it is, yeah.
As I've just realised, we actually are fighting for the lead here in this race. It's gone side by side into here.
Yep, it is. Oh my god.
We are in a really, really good position at this stage. We've still got plenty of time. I knew we were driving very well, and we had the fastest car out of everyone here, especially in the terms of straight line. So it's crucial that we try and pick these people off as efficiently as we can. So try to really good exit come here. We're going to actually be very aggressive with the battery. You can see the straight line speed going down the inside. Is he going to fight this too hard? I don't think so. And we get our first victim here. So now up into P5 and now behind Sven Zerner, who was actually my teammate when I did esports, when I competed with Renault in 2018. He was my teammate. He came P3 in the very first F1 esports series ever, and he is a very aggressive driver, so I know he's probably not going to make this too easy. So coming through into here, trying to get a really good run, and I decided to be aggressive because I knew how easy it was for me to recover the battery. I decided to try and fight fire with fire. So coming through into here, he goes a little bit defensive, and we're going to try and get a really good exit coming off this corner, and yes, we do. So punching the ERS, but everyone ahead of us pretty much has DRS themselves, and you can see we are starting to close. He's going defensive, so let's see what we're going to do here. We're going to try and go around the outside to get the inside for here, and oh, we're going to get this move done, almost making contact. We're going to be side by side, coming off the exit of this corner, and coming to try and go around the outside, actually going off the track, which then says it's an illegal overtake, so we have to let him back through, which I think was probably fair by the game here. So coming to here, he actually turns in really early, so he gets a really poor exit of this, and now we're going to go side by side to here. We're on the fresh, soft tires, and we're just going to go around the outside of Spencer, try and get on the traction nice and early, using the ERS, and then we have got that move done, which was absolutely crucial for this race. And now our next target is Danielle Haddad, an official F1 esports driver, achieved many Q3s last season. I just don't think he particularly had the luck. So now coming through to here, and also, of course, was the pole sitter of this race for 26.1. So we're doing it again. We're going to be really aggressive. Maybe see if we can catch him napping just a little bit. So coming through into here, does he go defensive? Yes, a little bit defensive on that apex, which then means I get a really good exit of this corner. Let's see how much more straight line speed. You can see we definitely have more straight line speed here. So he goes defensive. We choose to gap around the outside, and it's quickly the gap is closing. Getting the inside of Andre, so almost getting two cars in one here. And we got that move done on Haddad, and now we're slotted into P3. So we're doing exactly everything we need to do so far in this race. And right here now, I was thinking that we could actually win on our debut. We were doing absolutely everything right. We only had one warning in this race so far. And again, I felt very confident that these penalties could get removed as well. So we have the freshest tyres out of everyone here. Still have the fastest lap of the race too. So coming through into here, it's crucial that we try and get as close as possible. And my mentality here was to try and force Andre to overtake Brezza, so I could overtake Brezza as well, and then I could get Andre on the last lap. So that was kind of the game plan coming into these last couple of laps. So coming through into here, we're not having to use any of the ERS, but you can see he's really closing in quite quickly on Brezza. So we're going to try and get a really good exit coming off this corner, and as we do it, it's losing the car. So that was a poor exit from us. So now we're going to punch it with the ERS, and you can see how much faster we are in the straight line. But the problem is, we've just been boxed in. There's nowhere to go coming through here, so we have to leave some room on the inside just in case Haddad tries to go down the inside. And yeah, we just had nowhere to go. So Andre positioning in his car actually quite smartly going into there. There was nothing we really could have done. So I think Andre doesn't want to be leading going into this last lap. I think he wants to try and get Brezza in the last sector of the last lap. So again, we've got to try and either overtake Andre now or force him into that overtake nice and early, so we are the second man in the DRS train. But you can see the grip that we have. I think we are quite clearly the fastest car, and the pace that we're just doing, I think this is one of the best I've actually ever driven in terms of pace in the race, considering how far we were behind as well coming out of the pits. I was really happy of how I was driving at this stage. But you can see we've got about 30% of the ERS, so not too bad. Coming through here, really taking this super nicely. But then Haddad is also very close. So I'm going to be the aggressor once again, trying to force Andre to overtake Brezza. But then Haddad, who's in a championship battle with Brezza in this league, he wants to try and win this race as well. So coming through to here, Brezza is not getting on the power, and you can see I'm telling him to go because he wants the DRS on Andre. And now quickly, this is about to be 4 wide coming into here, so I'm going to try and overtake Brezza coming into turn 1. But what happens here? Haddad makes contact, going to him. We actually get damage from Brezza and a 3-second penalty, and that is our race pretty much done now. And I was having such fun, but I don't know. We'll go look at the replays after this, just so you can have an indication. But yeah, I think too many people wanted the same part of the track, and it just wasn't working out to be that way. So we're going to look at the replay after this, but we're going to make our way back to the finish. And part of me was happy because I felt I showed how much pace I can have in a race, but I think it was there for the taking as well. We could have done it, and I don't think personally I was at fault for that incident, which we will be seeing after this race. I felt like I didn't hit anyone at all. The only thing I felt I could have done different is I was hoping that Brezza would ghost and I would go back on the track without getting a penalty. That's why I was trying to go to the left back onto the track, but unfortunately he didn't ghost, but Haddad did. So yeah, we pick up damage from there, so maybe that's the only thing I could have done different. But we're going to come across the line now, and yeah, I think Andre goes ahead and wins this race. But we're going to look at the replay. So looking at it off board here, you can see it's almost 4 wide coming into here, and yeah, I'm going to leave that up to you in the comments. I'm going to let the stewards in the comments decide that. So we're going to have a look at Danielle Haddad. Again, very kindly lent me his footage, so please make sure you give him a follow down in the description. And I think for me personally, I think it's just a case of everyone here just wanted to win. And I think it's really hard for Haddad to see a reference point or where to go into here. And yeah, pretty amazing he didn't actually get damaged from that. So yeah, it's one of those things. I'm going to let the stewards decide that. I'm also going to let you guys in the comments be your own stewards panel. Whose fault do you think that was there? But yeah, I think that was probably one of my best drives in terms of a comeback and just the pure pace in the race. So I've always wanted to test myself against the best, and I was just very happy with the speed there. So if we can improve in the qualifying, I think we could have many good races against people of this caliber. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to some new extra rotation members, actually people who have rejoined the membership. So Chris, Sheepers and Villain Racing League, thank you for joining the extra rotation club. If you do click the YouTube membership, you will get access to my race setups, a discount on one-to-one coaching, and a priority invite into online lobbies as well. So thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I will be catching you very, very soon. Peace.